Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all of the praises and the glory to the Most High and His Son, Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushua, Ba'ashim Rakar Kwadash, and double honors to the apostles of the great millstone, and as well as giving the salutations thereof towards the Akim that's forwarding this truth worldwide. And Shalom to the Akim Wakwaf Yum. And just to briefly go into this video here, I first want to read Romans chapter 12 and verse 2. And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of the Most High. And I read that because in the first couple of sentences it reads, be not conformed to this world. Why? Because according to the book of 1 John 2 and 16, for all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh and the lust of the eyes and the pride of life is not of the Father, but is of the world. And this is the problem with this individual from the WFI camp, formerly known as Adam Abbott. And he's done this before, or one of his other men has done this before, declaring themselves to be the leaders of all Israel, when in fact we already have a leader that really is of all Israel, those that know they're Israelites. Okay, you have brothers that are in different orders and positions that have proven themselves throughout, their time of doing this ministry, basically. So, you have this individual that just came on the scene, as I can remember, maybe 7 years ago or so. He ran up on the apostles, just standing there listening to him, and a bunch of his men. And that was probably maybe 2016, maybe 2015, if I can remember. And they were just getting started with teaching the word as they were doing at the time. So now all of a sudden, something out of nowhere just tells them that you should tell all of those that follow you, and as well as people that are in outside camps, that you're the leader of Israel. But again, this is why you have to read the scriptures, because a lot of these dudes don't really read. They read the scriptures, but they don't read the scriptures. Okay? Now I want to get to verse 3. For I say, through the grace given unto me, to every man that is among you, not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think, but to think soberly, according as God have dealt to every man in the measure of faith. So it's soberly to think justly, is to have a balanced mind of oneself. Like every once in a while you have this megalomaniaism among these people that are claiming to be leaders of Israel, man, when in fact they don't have the experience to be leaders of Israel. We have men that have been proven to be leaders in their positions in this thing, put years in and got the experiences already. But you have men that just came in this thing like the other day, and now they feel like they gotta take over everybody's position and lead, and because they had a vision from Satan somewhere that told them, look, you're a way better candidate than those that have came before you. All right. And that's nothing but, again, the spiritual demon Satan working on the minds of these men, because these men ain't really in the spirit, man. To be in the spirit of the Lord is not to think highly of yourself than you ought to, as I'm going to read in Romans 12 and 3 now. For I say, through the grace given unto me, to every man that is among you, not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think, but to think soberly. So when you have this grand view of yourself, you're not thinking soberly. That means basically you're a bug out. That means something's mentally wrong with you for having this outlandish, spacious, mindset, where it's like you're just above everybody, but here it is, you haven't really did anything, or you haven't put any kind of action to show from a deserved standpoint to get that title of being highly exalted and recognized among the people. A lot of the times when people have this kind of mentality, is really because they got low self-esteem. Their self-esteem is on the ground. So the highest, the higher your self-esteem is, the more you're going to be cool about yourself. You ain't going to try to big up yourself and try to have this big, spacious view of yourself, because you know you got it inside. But it's those that don't really have it going on inside, they're the main ones that have this mentality. Anyway, let's continue on. But to think soberly, according to as God had dealt to every man the measure of faith. All right, so there you go. So that's the way to be in this thing. All right, when you come into this truth, that's the mentality you're supposed to have, a mentality of being humbled and showing humility. Not this, oh, I'm the leader now, I'm that Don Juan character that everyone is supposed to, look at as the one and only standard, like he's Yahweh Shai or something. Like, come on, man. Get out of here with that. 1 Timothy 3, verse 6. Not a novice, lest being lifted up with pride, he fall into the condemnation of the devil. And the word novice just means someone that is new. And that's what happens a lot of the times. When there cometh pride, there cometh a fall. As it is written, pride go before destruction, and an haughty spirit before the fall. So if you want to fall as a man, then just be as pride as you want to be. Like, look at Esau. Esau is going to be shown as an example of what pride can do to a man. And yeah, Esau got two elements. Esau has that wickedness in him, and as well as he has that pride in him, which is grand. But the Lord is going to show an example of what pride is capable of on a grand scale. So much so that the souls of men are going to acknowledge that the one and only power that can be proud is the Most High. As it is written in the scriptures as well, in other places, that pride was not made for man. Okay? Men are not supposed to be prideful, because for the most part, especially the Israelite man right now, we don't have nothing to show that we should be prideful about to begin with. Okay? And especially if you're a guy that just came in this thing a couple of years ago, you have no business coming up, entering to other men's labors and telling these men that y'all should fall back and let me be the leader of the ship. And as I can quite remember, watching a video some time ago, when this individual, I forgot the guy's name, man, but I remember seeing a video, man, where this dude got arrested, and this guy was basically bitching like a woman while he was getting arrested. So if you're a leader, how come you didn't show your leadership skills when uncomfortable times came to present itself to you? How come you didn't apply the scriptures? Because a real leader of Israel that's been proven, that's been authorized, would have applied the scriptures. All right? And see, this is the thing. These same guys that are shouting, I'm the leader, I'm that top guy, 9 times out of 10, they're not supposed to be leading over nobody, because they're basically discombobulated in their minds themselves. They got some kind of issues going on. Like there's a particular guy down here in the UK. I'm not gonna put his name out there like that, 'cause I don't need to. It's not that important. But just showing an example that there's men in this thing that have this megalomaniacism going on, and it's really to do because they got some kind of mental issues, man. That's really what it all boils down to. Let's just keep it real. A lot of these dudes that's bigging up themselves, is acting as though they're somebody special. A lot of the times it's all to do because they got some mental demons going on, and it's for them to really do some soul searching and repent. Okay, so let's continue on. Luke 14 and verse 11. For whosoever exalteth himself shall be abased, and he that humbleth himself shall be exalted. And that's just as simple as that. I don't really have to elaborate any more on that. So the key to make progress, the way to make it on the high seat, or to sit on the high seat, you have to show humility, man. Let me read a couple of the precepts here as well in showing this. Like, everybody wants to be the top guy, but no one wants to go through the humiliation. verse 15 and verse 33. The fear of the Lord is the instruction of wisdom, and before honor is humility. Proverbs 22 and verse 4. By humility and the fear of the Lord are riches and honor and life. So if you want riches and honor and life, this is what you have to become first. This is what you have to experience first. Humiliation. Yahweh Shai is a prime example of that. The man was scorched, he was mocked, he was spat at. Okay, all of this stuff that he had to deal with before getting on that cross. And getting on that cross, he had to endure more pain on top of that. And guess what? Now he's on the right-hand side of the Father. And when he comes back on the earth, he's going to project his glory on the face of the earth. But at first, what? He had a humble beginning. So if you want riches and honor and life, you have to you have to be humiliated first. Excuse me. At first, you have to be humiliated. That's how it goes. Acts 20 and verse 19, serving the Lord with all humility of mind and with many tears and temptations, which befell me by the lying and weight of the Jews. So this is, I believe, Paul is speaking here, or could be Peter. Okay, all of the men of the Lord suffered humiliation. So if you believe in your mind that you're above humiliation, you're just too good for humiliation, then it's really because you're not a man of the Lord. Okay, the real men of the Lord suffer so that they can get to honor later on. That's how it goes, man. Yes, Paul. It's Paul. So that's how it goes. That's how life operates.